Hey guys, it's Vanessa and welcome back to my channel. I have another What's for Dinner video for you guys this week where I show you what I feed my blended family of 6 from Monday to Friday. This week was a little bit strange because it was March break and the schedule with our kiddos was a little bit different, but I still have 3 awesome meals that I want to show you, and if you want to see how they get put together, then just keep watching. I post these videos every Saturday morning, so if you want to make sure you don't miss any more future What's for Dinners, go ahead and subscribe and click the notification bell. Now, for the first meal of the week, we had pulled pork sandwiches. Alright, so we're just going to go over the ingredients that I used for these. Here is the pork shoulder that I went ahead and roasted. I'll give you more details in a minute. This Kraft coleslaw dressing, amazing. Also pulled out some baked beans that I made in my last freezer meal. You can't have pulled pork without beans, you guys. You could use canned, but I had these in the freezer. Some crusty Kaiser rolls that I got in my last grocery haul. You want something a little bit more substantial. I've got some stubs and some Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce for pulling the pork and for extra seasoning. I've got a red onion, a lime. I've also got a bag of coleslaw mix, which is perfect in place of lettuce, and then we can use it for other things throughout the week. I've got a cucumber for the side, some chives. I just kind of like that extra onion taste. Some sweet pickles. I grabbed some tortillas in case anybody wanted pulled pork. Tacos, nobody did. Also have some sour cream, pico de gallo, and some spicy guacamole, which I was shocked I liked the spicy guacamole, but it was a really great addition, kind of like as a spread instead of mayo or anything. So this was everything that we used to put together our pulled pork sandwiches. All right, so let's talk pulled pork. This was a pork shoulder I saw in our meat section, which is already seasoned and labeled pork carnitas. So that's what inspired this meal, although we're ending up having pulled pork sandwiches. I roasted it at 250 for almost 6 hours, you guys. I put a little bit of liquid in the bottom, 1 onion sliced in half. That was it. And all I'm doing is adding our 2 favorite barbecue sauces to the mix, stirring it up. You could freeze this. You can keep this in the fridge for a week. People could make tacos or fajitas or pulled pork sandwiches, whatever it is you'd like. But look at this, guys. It pulled apart effortlessly. All right, now that the pulled pork is ready, I'm going to go ahead and chop up pretty finely these chives. I'm also going to slice up the lime into wedges so people can just take one if they'd like it. And I'm also going to dice up a red onion. All right, I'm going to go ahead and slice my Kaiser rolls in half with my Miracle Blade bread knife. Again, I know I talked about it in my last What's for Dinner, but it still blows my mind that it still works this well. This guy really knew what he was doing. All right, like a lot of my What's for Dinners, I lay out our meals kind of buffet style. It's just the nature and the way that our family eats, different schedules. I have a couple different cheeses, Monterey and Swiss, just because we had some cheesesteak sandwiches last week. Otherwise, I probably would have just stuck to one. I've got everything laid out, the pulled pork. I have my freezer beans that I warmed up. I've got the barbecue sauce out. And I will tell you, the best mixture here, guys, was the barbecue sauce with the Kraft coleslaw dressing. A drizzle of each on your buns. I don't know. I feel like I discovered something new. Definitely try it. It was amazing. Originally, I thought I might make some coleslaw with it, but I didn't. Just as a condiment on the burger. It was amazing, or on the sandwich. This was mine. Pickles, sour cream. Literally, I put one of everything that you just saw. It was delicious, you guys. This was our supper for Monday night.
Never knew a moment.
All right, for Tuesday night, I made homemade from scratch sweet meatballs with white rice. Keep watching to see how this goes together because you do not want to miss it.
Everything I needed is
All right, so the first step while I'm prepping my meatballs, because it takes about 50 minutes in my rice cooker for my rice, is to give it a good couple of rinses, and then I'm going to cook it at a 2-to-1 ratio. So for every 1 cup of rice, I'm going to put 2 cups of water. So I'm doing 2 cups of rice, 4 cups of water here. I'm thinking that my rice cooker is getting a little bit older because it doesn't seem to matter how much I rinse it, it's still sticky, but it was still good. All right, for the meatballs, just grab a tray, wrap it in aluminum foil, save yourself some mess. I have about 3 pounds of ground beef here because I do plan on making a pretty large portion. I'm going to use breadcrumbs, super simple seasonings, guys: salt, pepper, garlic powder, breadcrumbs, and an egg. That is it. You do what you like in yours, but this is how I like to do it because it's all about the sauce. Vinegar, ketchup, brown sugar, water, and ground mustard. Yes, it's a lot of sugar, and it's not something you're going to feed your family every week, but it's something I'm telling you, once you start, it's going to be once every month or so. All right, I'm going to start by dumping all the ground beef into this bowl and just adding in all of the ingredients. 1 egg, even for 3 pounds of ground beef, for me, that was enough because it was medium ground beef, so it definitely had a lot of its own moisture. I'm going to go ahead and dump in some of these breadcrumbs. It did say to use cracker crumbs. This is my aunt's recipe, but I just always use breadcrumbs because it's what I have on hand. And I think at the time she probably just had crackers. Go ahead and season accordingly to what you would like. I find you do want to put enough of it because it's ground beef and it's going to kind of absorb all of these seasonings. I'm just showing you guys really quick the recipe book like I've shown you in some of my other videos. It's seen some time. There's even some stains on here from some food splatters. I'm struggling to talk today, but here it is if you guys want to take a screenshot of this. Like I said, there's no specific measurements. It's all about feel and just kind of doing it over time and knowing what it's supposed to look like. I'm going to go ahead and get my hands washed here, magic of YouTube. And I use a cookie scooper to do my meatballs. You could use a smaller one like a melon baller, or you could even use a bigger one like a huge ice cream scooper. This is just a medium-sized one. I've gotten it from Pampered Chef years ago. I know I'm only 38, but I seem to have accumulated a lot of cooking and baking things because it's just something that I've always loved to do. So go ahead, just scoop them out. Don't worry about rolling them right away. I just start by scooping them all out one by one onto the tray till it's completely packed. Then once they're on there, I can go ahead and hand roll them in my hands just to kind of bring them together a little bit better. And I did end up having a little bit left in the bottom of my bowl, but once I hand rolled them, they kind of took up a little bit less space on my tray, and I was able to fit all 3 pounds of meatballs on this tray. Now, I like to cook my meatballs at about 425 for approximately 25 minutes. They will cook a little bit in the sauce, but I like to get that really outer brown crust. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get the sauce going. Have you guys ever seen these little clay teddy bears that go in the brown sugar? I've seen them at like craft stores and stuff. I believe I've seen them at Walmart before, but they really do work. You soak it for like 15 minutes in warm water, kind of pat it dry and throw it in your brown sugar, and it helps it from getting too hard. All right, so I went ahead and doubled the sauce recipe because I was making such a large amount of meatballs. It is a lot of sugar, you guys, not just sugar, the ketchup, because we all know how much sugar is in ketchup. But like I said, this isn't something that you're going to make every week. It's something that you're going to make to take to a potluck and wow all of your friends, or make once a month as a treat for your family to have delicious, sweet meatballs. I'm telling you, I can't explain what it is. It's not quite sweet and sour, but if you were to throw a can of pineapples in here with some red and green peppers and maybe some chunks of onion, you could turn this into like a Hawaiian feast of meatballs. I'm telling you, there's so many different ways to do this. It's delicious. Definitely try it. Don't turn your nose up at it. Give it a shot. The rice turned out great. It was still a little bit sticky, nonetheless super edible. All right, so find yourself an oven-safe dish, put all your meatballs in it, cover it with the sauce, bake them at 350 for at least 1 hour. That's how long we cook them because when we smell them, we cannot wait to eat them. But you could cook them upwards of 2 or 3. Just keep checking on them, and when they seem ready to you, then devour them. It's one of those foods that kind of gets better with time, so the longer they sit in the fridge, they're really good the next day. Here's what they look like. You could thicken the sauce with a little bit of cornstarch if you wanted to, but we like to use the sauce over rice, so I don't really see a necessity for it. Ultimately, this fed us for a couple of days. Belle and I went away to Nova Scotia, so I wanted to make sure I had a big pot of meatballs and rice in the fridge so Jamie and the boys would have it to eat while we were away. And it worked out because he called me the next day. One of his guys had a sleepover. Everybody inhaled it. It fed all 6 people and everybody was happy. And like I said, it's all about the sauce for these meatballs. So sometimes I'll even cut my meatball in half and pour a little extra so it absorbs a little more. But you guys, this was supper for Tuesday night. Like I said, Belle and I went away to Nova Scotia. We went to visit my parents, and of course we had Mary Brown's chicken. There's just certain foods when we come here we have to have. Now Mary Brown's is new to me, not to Belle. It was delicious, you guys. It wasn't greasy. It had kind of a KFC-esque essence, but ultimately it was not greasy or heavy. You can see Belle inhaling it. It was delicious. It was a great rest when we got home from traveling. Awesome. Supper for Wednesday. All right, so just because we're at my mom's doesn't mean I'm going to eat out every day. I decided to make a Crockpot Hamburger Stew. So this isn't a specific recipe, it's just kind of the way my mom and I have always made it. We use a crock pot. You could probably use stovetop, but why would you when the crock pot is so easy and the flavors really sink in that way? I'm using about 3/4 of the pack of that large ground beef. I didn't use the tomato sauce. I did use the diced tomatoes and half a can of tomato paste. I also used beef broth, Italian seasoning, pepper, salt, and some beef stew seasoning that my mom had in the cupboard. Now I'm just basing it off of what I was able to find in her house while I was here, keeping it simple with baby carrots and baby potatoes so I didn't have to do any cutting and I could throw it all in the crock pot. The only thing we are about to cut up is that turnip. The first step here is to go ahead and brown your ground beef and just add the salt and pepper as you like. I have seen some recipes, check out my nightgown, by the way. Yeah, keeping it classy. I have seen some recipes after looking it up in Pinterest to try and give you guys kind of a guide that show putting it in a crock pot with raw hamburger. What's your thoughts on that? My personal opinion is I've never done it and I'm not willing to try because I don't want to waste anything. But if it really works, then you know what? I'd be willing to try it because less dishes, less steps. Sometimes as a mama, you're just trying to get through it. But I was on vacation. I was visiting my mom. I didn't mind taking an extra half hour to cook this up and wash those dishes. So you'll see here I put salt, pepper, and I kind of sprinkled the beef stew seasoning on top with some tomato paste just to flavor the ground beef as well before we pour it into the crock pot. I poured it in, grease and all. Guys, that's flavor. Don't pour that out. Check out this knife. It's been around since I was a teenager and I am not exaggerating. I'm not even sure how I managed to cut this turnip with it, but I did. I love you, Mom, but you need a new knife. Now, with anything when you're adding vegetables to a stew like this, you kind of want to make sure they're all proportionate to the length of time they take to cook. So the potatoes are going to cook quicker than the carrots and the turnips. So I just make sure the turnips are a good enough size that they won't be crunchy and they kind of all cook at the same time. That makes sense? Anyway, that just comes with time and knowing how long vegetables take to cook. Go ahead and dump everything else in. Super effortless, guys. Pour the cans of tomatoes in there over top your vegetables. Go ahead and I will add more tomato paste, this Italian seasoning. If I hadn't had Italian seasoning, I would add basil and oregano. Just whatever you have in your cupboard, guys, for spices. It doesn't have to be exact. And the more comfortable you get doing that, the better at it you're going to be. Go ahead and dump in a good amount of the beef stock. I probably added about 3/4 in the end because you do need to cook these vegetables. So yes, there's going to be a lot of liquid produced, but you need to add enough so that you don't dry out your crock pot, because let me tell you, that doesn't smell good when you come home to a burnt, dried out crock pot. So it totally depends on your crock pot and the settings and how long it takes to cook, but I did this on just a standard crock pot, 8 hours on low. It turned out perfect. The vegetables weren't mush. The carrots still had a little bit of bite to them, which is good because we planned on eating this as leftovers. And let me tell you, the next day hamburger stew is even better than the first day. Here it is, you guys, also known as poor man's stew. And I get it because it is super affordable to make and delicious. And I don't know why we don't do it more often. ground turkey, anything would be good in this, you guys. This was supper at my mama's for Thursday night. All right, like I said, we had a few nights of takeout this week. Thursday, we went to my favorite Chinese place, the Modern Orchid in Dartmouth Crossing.
I would up and go. I would up and go. I'd walk out of sight. But I'm glad I rearranged it.
So we made our way into the restaurant after a quick little dance therapy in the parking lot. If you'll take a look, what do you guys order when you go for Chinese? Do you do dishes? Do you do combos? I've always done dishes because I just find the combos can really add up. But I was saying Belle and I are going to share a combo here, and I kind of really wanted beef and broccoli. And then Mom's pointing out to me here, you can actually add certain items like beef and broccoli for an extra $3.60. So that's what we did. Belle and I are sharing this plate here, and I'll tell you, there was still tons left.
Won't have to stand alone.
It's funny because rewatching this is making me so hungry for Chinese food.
Falling for you, my world turns upside down. Questions of how and would you love me now, and could you hold me in the storm? 'Cause in my mind I would be crazy to let my heart lead this romance, but I promise every day
I'll pick you up when you fall.
Was it good?
Still is. Eat it so they'll know it was good. Stop worrying in trouble. Things hanging mad.
Even at 9 years old, Belle always wants to try the lemon when we go out, but being silly with her literally makes my day. This was all the food left, guys, even after Belle and I annihilated our plates. It was amazing. Highly recommend this supper for Thursday night. Alright guys, thanks so much for stopping by my channel and watching this video today. I will go ahead and link my playlist down below if you want to check out more What's for Dinners. I post weekend preps, What's for Dinners, grocery hauls, and meal plans. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any future content. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you guys in my next video.